And let's shift focus over to Brexit as the countdown has begun to the key Brexit vote, and all eyes are now on Westminster, where British Prime Minister will be presenting her Brexit deal to the parliamentarians at 7 p.m. London time. Just a day before the vote, May clinched legally binding Brexit assurances with the European Union in order to win over rebellious British lawmakers. The first is a so-called joint legally binding instrument on the withdrawal agreement. According to May, this particular clause could be used to start a formal dispute against the European Union in case Brussels tries to keep the UK tied to the backstop. The second is a joint statement about the future relationship of the UK and the EU. This also comes with assurance of replacing the backstop with alternative arrangements by December 2020. British Cabinet Minister David Lidington announced the changes to the House of Commons, saying that the new changes would mean that the European Union cannot, quote-unquote, try to trap the United Kingdom in the Irish backstop indefinitely. The British parliamentarians, however, were not pleased. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn said that May's negotiations with the European Union has failed and the changes were not in line with the promises she has made to the MPs. European Union Commissioner Jean-Claude Juncker, meanwhile, warned that if the deal was voted down, then there will not be a third chance.
In politics, sometimes you get a second chance. It is what we do with this second chance that counts, because there will be no third chance. There will be no further interpretation of the interpretations and no further assurances or the reassurances.
Now, May's latest deal will have to be approved by the British parliamentarians for it to come to force. It was in January that May presented her deal to the Parliament the last time. And what followed was a historic loss by a margin of 230. The United Kingdom is scheduled to leave the European Union on the 29th of March.
Very simply, to the Honourable Lady, they chose to leave the European Union.
And our London Bureau Chief, Mandy Clark, joins us for more. Let's go across to Mandy. Mandy, if you can hear me, what can we expect in the British Parliament? Does May have a chance?
Well, it seems that anything is possible in this strange Brexit land Britain. We've seen the Prime Minister, Theresa May, hop on a plane at the 11th hour to hammer out the details of the deal with the European Union in Brussels just the evening before she's due to debate it in Parliament. Now, because of this last-minute scramble to Brussels, the Speaker of the House, John Bercow, said he might delay the vote to allow MPs to have more questions to her deal. Now, if that doesn't happen, we can expect that all day there will be a debate in the House of Commons over her deal. She'll be pushing hard to get this deal through. Now, there isn't any major substantial changes to this deal that we've seen from January. It's essentially pretty much the same deal. What we're noticing, the major factor here, is the calendar. We're a lot closer to March 29th when Britain is due to leave the EU. Now, that's making a lot of MPs nervous. A lot of MPs who originally voted down the deal seem to be softening their position, particularly Brexiteers who said in no way they would vote for a deal that had that Irish backstop in place. Now they're willing to consider tweaks to the Irish backstops. There is a possibility that her deal might pass through Parliament. Right. The vote is expected to happen around 7 p.m. local time, with the announcement of the results of that vote around 8:30 in the evening.
All right, Mandy, there are questions about what happens if Theresa May loses the vote.
Well, what happens if Theresa May does lose? She has said that she will trigger a vote the very next day on Wednesday with the Parliament on whether they are willing to have a no-deal scenario. Now, many MPs disagree universally on Brexit, and there seems to have been no middle ground, but they seem to universally agree that no deal is a bad idea. So in all likelihood, we could expect the House to vote for to prevent a no deal, to prevent that no deal situation from happening. And if that is the case, then the very next day on Thursday, there'll be another vote for the Parliament to ask for an extension to Article 50, which would mean they're extending the terms of the deal with Brexit to give more time to negotiations. So it will mean just more negotiations with Brexit, but it'd be a lot better than crashing out. So that's what we really can expect if this deal doesn't go through.
Right. Last but not the least, Mandy, what is the mood of the public and businesses at the moment?
The mood in London is pretty downcast. There's a feeling that politicians are really just working for themselves. They're not really thinking about the good of the country. We're not seeing cross-party communication and working together to find a deal. And that has left the public a bit frustrated with the process. There's business owners who feel like it's been really unclear, and it feels in many ways that politicians are working towards their own agenda rather than the national interest. That is the overwhelming feeling in Britain. There's a level of exhaustion, just Brexit exhaustion. People don't even want to talk about it anymore. But businesses here are definitely very concerned about the lack of clarity on what will happen and what exactly will happen on March 29th.
Right. Thank you so much, Mandy, for filling us with all the latest on Brexit. That was Mandy Clark, our London Bureau Chief, joining us live.